What if your pain wasn't physical? What if your ache in your back, the anxiety in your chest, the weight you carry was your subconscious trying to speak? What if your body remembers everything your mind forgot? And what if healing wasn't found in another prescription, but in remembering who you truly are? What if trauma didn't have to be your life sentence? What if freedom was already within you, waiting to be unlocked? Every week on The Subconscious Healer, we ask questions most people are too afraid to face and reveal the answers your soul has been waiting for. Join us as we take you beneath the surface, into the nervous system, the subconscious, and the unseen patterns shaping your life. Because healing doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens when you remember the truth of who you are. The Subconscious Healer, you're not broken, you're just ready. Welcome back to the Subconscious Healer. I'm so glad that you're here today because what we're going to dive into might just shift the way that you're parenting forever. Let me ask you something. Have you ever caught yourself reacting to your child and thought, where did that come from? Like maybe you snapped, shut down, or overreacted. As soon as it happened, you felt that gut punch of guilt. Yeah, I've been there too. And there were moments, some that I'll never forget, when our children were melting down over something very tiny. And instead of meeting them with compassion, I barked back. And immediately I felt this rush of emotion, not just frustration, but sadness. Because what I didn't realize in that moment was I wasn't just reacting to them, I was reacting from me, from the parts of me that were never taught how to be heard, held, or healed. And that right there is the heart of today's episode. See, our children's emotional well-being isn't shaped by just what we say, it's shaped by what we subconsciously carry. It's the energy behind our words, the beliefs beneath our actions. It's the unspoken parts of us, our fears, our wounds, our inner child that show up loud and clear in how we raise our children. So today we're going to explore what's really going on in the mental and emotional health of our children right now, the role that we play, not in a guilt trip way, but in an empowering and soul-led way. How healing ourselves can create massive shifts in our children's behavior, self-worth, and emotional safety. Why the way we react to our children often have less to do with them and more to do with our own unhealed stories. And finally, what our children truly need at the subconscious level to grow up emotionally strong, secure, and whole. So whether you're a parent, a teacher, a caregiver, or simply someone healing the child within you, this conversation is for you. So let's peel back the layers. Let's break generational patterns. And let's talk about what it means to raise emotionally safe, spiritually rooted kids, starting with us. Are you ready? Let's get into it. All right, let's dive into the current landscape of children's mental health, and it's more critical now than ever. Did you know that nearly 20% of the U.S. children between 3 and 17 are diagnosed with an mental, emotional, developmental, or behavioral disorder? Around 11% have anxiety, 4% have depression, and rates continue to climb. Among adolescents, 15% experience major depressive episodes annually, and 37% report persistent sadness or hopelessness. Plus, screen addiction studies have shown 1/3 of kids aged 9 and 10 exhibit compulsive phone or social media use. And these children are 2 to 3 times more likely to experience suicidal thoughts and emotional struggles. So let's take a real, honest look at what's happening with our kids right now beneath the surface. Because if we just skim the surface, it looks like this generation is soft, too emotional, addicted to screens, or lacking discipline. But when we zoom out and take a deeper look, we see much more sobering picture. Our children are not broken. They're overstimulated, undersupported, and emotionally overwhelmed in a world that expects adult level performance without giving them the tools to regulate or process what they're feeling. So let me give you the landscape. Let's dive into the mental health crisis. We have anxiety, depression, and emotional distress in kids that it has skyrocketed over the last decade, especially in the last 5 years. Children as young as 6 years old are being diagnosed with panic disorders. Middle schoolers are cutting, disassociating, and reporting suicidal thoughts. And it's no longer rare. And teens, they're drowning in identity confusion, peer pressure, academic anxiety, and digital comparison loops that never shut off. Think about it. Back in our day, we didn't have as much as the comparison as they do today with social media. Even toddlers are showing signs of emotional dysregulation, aggressive outbursts, and sensory overwhelm because their nervous systems are absorbing everything in their environment. This isn't just a phase, it's a generational red flag. So, what's driving it? Well, we have informational overload. Their brains are bombarded with more data, opinions, and fear-based input than any other generation. We have emotional disconnection. Many families are busy, fragmented, and distracted. Kids are growing up in homes where adults are physically present but emotionally unavailable. They have a lack of nervous system modeling. Kids aren't being shown how to feel safe inside their body. They're taught how to perform, but not how to pause. We have unresolved generational trauma. If parents are operating from anxiety, burnout, or shame, children inherit that energetic state even if it's unspoken. So the lies that we've been told about kids' mental health is they'll just grow out of it. They just need discipline. They have it easier than we did. They're just being dramatic. Here's the truth. They're responding to the world that we have built around them. And they're mirroring the stress that we haven't yet healed within ourselves. Children don't have the language to say, I'm feeling tension between you and dad. Or, I don't know how to handle all the pressure I feel to be perfect. So it comes out of as defiance, anxiety, withdrawal, hyperactivity, or illness. Every child is a subconscious receiver. Until about the age of 7, they're living in a theta, beta wave state, deeply impressionable, absorbing not just words that you say, but the emotions the tone, the body language, and even the emotional frequency of the home. And that means your unspoken fears, your internal chaos, your self-criticism or shame. It lands in their nervous system as truth about the world and about themselves. And unless we, as caregivers, pause and do our own healing, we unintentionally pass down a template of fear, performance, and dysregulation. But this isn't about guilt. It's about empowerment. You can't change what you inherited, but you can change what you passed down. And that's what this conversation is about. We're going to explore how our personal healing journey transforms the way that we parent, and how the safest place for your child will always be a regulated version of you. So let's talk about us as parents, caregivers, as adults walking around in our inner child of our own. Because the truth is, we play a massive role in our children's mental and emotional development. But this isn't the blame game. This is about power. It's about reclaiming it. And let's reframe the conversation for a second. You are not responsible for your child's every feeling, but you are responsible for the environment that you create energetically, emotionally, and spiritually. Your nervous system is a template for safety or not. Your reactions are teaching them what love looks like. Your ability or inability to sit with big emotions is their permission slip to do the same. They're watching you. So when we say do the work, what we're actually saying is heal the parts of you that get hijacked. The part that panics when your child cries, the part that shuts down when your child challenges you, the part that feels unseen, unloved, and unworthy, because that's the part that's running the show in your parenting. And when that unhealed part is in charge, you either control, collapse, or overcompensate. But here's the empowering part. Healing shifts your child without them having to lift a finger. I know, because I lived it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need all the answers. You just need to become aware of what's driving your reactions and choosing something new. And when you choose presence over performance, curiosity over control, repair over reactivity, you literally rewire their subconscious to believe the world is a safe place. That love doesn't mean abandonment. That emotion isn't dangerous. That connection isn't earned through perfection. What if, instead of trying to fix your child's behaviors, you asked, what are they reflecting in me that's ready to be healed? That's a powerful question. Because that's where the power lives. Not in punishment, not in shame, but in your willingness to heal for both of you. So, now let's talk exactly how to begin doing that healing work and the specific subconscious needs that your child is begging for, even if they don't have the words. You're doing better than you think, and you're not doing it alone. So let's go deeper, because this is where the transformation really happens, not just in them, but in us. Healing ourselves isn't just a gift to our own nervous system, it's a gift to our children's future, to their identity, to the way they experience love, trust, and safety in the world. So let's start with this. Children don't learn who they are through lectures. They learn who they are through a relationship, through the mirror of your eyes, the tone of your voice, the safety or lack of safety in your presence. So when we begin healing our own pain, your unspoken insecurities, your buried anger, your deep unprocessed grief, you're not changing your life. You're rewriting the emotional blueprint that your child was silently downloading from you. And behavior is a mirror. So let's talk about behavior. That tantrum, the shutdown, the back talk, or the clinginess, it's not just a bad behavior, it's a mirror. Your child is not giving you a hard time, they're having a hard time. And most often, they're reacting to a space that feels energetically unsafe, whether it's stress, inconsistency, emotional absence, or unresolved pain in their caregiver. But when you begin to heal, when you begin to calm the storm instead of the storm itself, their behaviors start to shift, I promise you, because they're no longer being activated by your energy. And healing rewires their self-worth. So let's talk about that. Children build their internal self-worth on how you treat them and how you treat yourself. So if you are consistently criticizing yourself, you put yourself last, you abandon your needs, or live in survival mode, your child subconsciously learns, I'm not worthy unless I'm perfect. Love requires sacrifice. I must ignore myself to stay safe. Stress is normal. Rest is selfish. But when you begin to heal, when you start speaking kindly to yourself, setting boundaries, apologizing when needed, regulating your own emotions, your child witnesses a whole new reality. They learn that it's okay to make mistakes and still be loved. Feelings are safe. Boundaries are healthy. I don't have to shrink or perform to receive love. And that's not just a shift. That's a revolution in their subconscious programming. So let's talk about emotional safety. This is the foundation of everything. Without it, children live in a hypervigilance. With it, they thrive. And here's the thing. Emotional safety isn't created by perfect parenting. It's created by present parenting. So, when you do the work, you heal your triggers instead of reacting from them. Repair after rupture instead of pretending it didn't happen. You stay grounded even when your child isn't. You teach them that their emotions are safe with you, that your love is consistent, and that they're not too much. And that changes everything. So if you ever wondered, is it really worth it to do all this deep inner healing? Will it actually help my child? The answer is yes, more than you know. Because every time you choose healing over hiding, curiosity over control, compassion over criticism, you break a generational chain and you create a new emotional legacy, not just for your child, but for everyone they'll ever love. So, we're going to talk about the subconscious needs that your child is silently asking for and how to start giving them what they truly crave. No more toys, no more rules, but more you. Let's have a real moment here, because this is one of the most uncomfortable and freeing truths in parenting. Most of our reactions to our children actually have very little to do with our children and everything to do with us. Our stories, our scars, our subconscious beliefs that we've never questioned. So let's break it down. You might think that you're reacting to your child's behavior, but what you're really reacting to is the feeling that behavior triggers in your body, the meaning that you attach to it, and the story that's been living inside of you, sometimes for decades. And it sounds like this. Your child talks back, you feel disrespected, your subconscious says, no one listens to me, I'm invisible. Your child cries too much, you feel overwhelmed, so your subconscious says, big emotions aren't safe, I need to shut this down. Or your child needs you while you're exhausted. Yeah. You feel stretched thin. So then your subconscious says, I'm failing, I'm not enough. So what's really happening here? You're not just responding to your child, you're responding to a younger version of yourself who never got what they needed in a moment that just felt like this one. So your inner child is in the room. The part of you that wasn't allowed to express anger, the part that learned love had to be earned, the part that got punished for being messy, loud, emotional, or needy, that part is still alive. And often it shows up in parenting, not because you're broken, but because you're human. Unhealed trauma doesn't disappear. It gets transferred. And if you're not aware of it, we pass it down in a silent script that says, this is how we handle feelings. This is how we earn love. And this is what's acceptable and what's not. But here's the danger. When we're reacting from our past, we miss the moment that's right in front of us. We respond to our children based on our own fear, not their actual need. We discipline their behavior instead of decoding their emotion. We shut down or lash out, not because they're bad, but because we are overwhelmed, unregulated, and wounded. But here's the power. When you heal the story, you change the reaction. You can pause, breathe, notice the trigger, and choose a new response. Instead of yelling, you get curious. Instead of shaming, you get present. Instead of collapsing, you stand grounded. And what your child experiences is completely different version of love. One that is safe, soft, strong, and healing. So, if you've ever walked away from a parenting moment feeling ashamed, guilty, or confused, please hear this. You weren't reacting to your child. You were reacting to a wound that's still waiting for love. And that awareness, that's the beginning of the healing. So we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about what your child actually needs on the subconscious level and how you can begin meeting those needs even if no one ever met them for you. Because healing doesn't require a perfect path. It requires a willing heart. We've talked about what's happening to our children. We've talked about what's being passed down through us. Now, let's talk about what they actually need. Because beneath the tantrums, the clinginess, the defiance, the anxiety, there is a child saying, am I safe? Am I seen? Am I loved? Even if I'm not performing. And those questions aren't being asked out loud. They're being asked in their body, through their nervous system cues, subconscious beliefs, and emotional behaviors. So let's talk about what our children truly need on a subconscious level to grow up emotionally strong, secure, and whole. First, they need a nervous system safety over perfect parenting. The number one thing that your child needs is not more toys, not more after school activities, not even more praise. It's your regulated nervous system. Why? Because children co-regulate before they self-regulate. Their subconscious is constantly asking, is mom okay? Is dad safe? Can I let my guard down? If you're dysregulated and yelling and tense, withdrawn, they subconsciously feel the world is unsafe, even if no one says a word. But if you're grounded, soft, consistent, they can actually begin to exhale. They feel safe. And from that safety, they begin to grow. Emotional validation over emotional fixing. Your child does not need you to fix their every feeling. They need to feel safe inside their feelings. Every time you say, you're okay, stop crying. It's not that bad. Don't be so sensitive. You're unintentionally teaching them that emotions are wrong. And if you followed anything that we've said in the past, all emotions are precious. Instead, try to say, that makes sense. I hear you. And it's okay to feel this way. Because what you're really saying is, your emotions are safe here, and so are you. That message rewires their brain for emotional intelligence, not emotional suppression. They need consistent attunement over consistent attention. Kids don't need you to be present every moment. They just need to know that you'll come back, that you are available, that you're paying attention, not just with your eyes, but with your energy. With your energy. Subconscious attunement looks like picking up subtle clues of distress, making eye contact when they speak to you, naming emotions they don't yet have words for, or saying, I noticed you got quiet. Do you feel overwhelmed? This builds a child's inner compass. It teaches them how to attune into themselves. Unconditional love over performance-based approval. Your child should never have to earn your love. Not through good grades, not through obedience, and not through achievements. Their subconscious must know I am loved because I exist, not because I behave. You can discipline without withdrawing love. You can redirect without shame, and you can hold boundaries and still hold softness. Because love is this secure, because love that is secure creates a child who can grow into an adult who doesn't question their worth. A healed parent over a perfect one. Finally, what a child needs most is a parent who is willing to heal. There's no greater gift. Not one who never yells, but one who says, I'm sorry, that wasn't your fault. Not one that's always calm, but one that comes back after the storm and says, let's talk about what just happened. Grace. That's what builds emotional strength. That's what makes a child feel whole. So, if you've been carrying the pressure to get it right as a parent, I hope this sets you free. Because your child doesn't need perfection. They need connection. They need your presence. And more than anything, they need to watch you become whole so they can believe it's possible for them too. In just a moment, I'll wrap up some final reflections, but take this truth with you. Your healing is not just for you. It is the soil your child is growing in. And every time you choose to love over fear, presence over performance, and truth over trauma, you're breaking the chains they'll never even have to see. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to pause and speak directly to the part of you that might be feeling tender, exposed, guilty. Because let's be honest, when we start talking about subconscious parenting, emotional wounds, and generational patterns, it can bring up a lot. You might be thinking, I have messed up too much. I yelled this morning. I didn't know any of this until now. Did I already do damage? First, let's just take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. You're not alone. We might have some guilt trips, such as I've already ruined them. So let's reframe that. You haven't ruined anything. Kids are incredibly resilient, and even more so when they see a parent growing, apologizing, and healing in real time. Repair is more powerful than perfection. And every time you say, I'm sorry I got upset earlier, you didn't deserve that, I'm working on it. I don't know how many times I've said that. I'm working on it. You're showing your child what accountability and emotional safety really looks like. Let's talk about guilt trip number 2. I wasn't emotionally available when they were little. That one hits home. You did the best you could with the tools that you had, and now you have more. That's a victory. The nervous system remembers repair, not just rupture. It's never too late to create new emotional experiences. Even a teen or adult child can begin to shift when you start showing up new, regulated ways. Guilt trip number 3. I have to be healed before I parent well. Nope. You just have to be aware and willing. Healing isn't a finish line. It's a posture. A pattern you choose one moment at a time. And your child doesn't need a perfect parent. They need a healing one. That healing parent is patient, curious, willing to grow. And that's who you're becoming right now. So if this episode brought some guilt up, let that be a sign of your heart, not your failure. You care. You're learning. You're showing up. And that already makes you the cycle breaker in your family line. Let's release the shame and remember, you're not behind. You're just waking up. And that awakening is what your child needs most. So before we go, I want to leave you with this. You're not too late. And you're not too broken. And you absolutely not disqualified from raising emotionally healthy, spiritually rooted, deeply connected children. The very fact that you've listened this far, that you're willing to pause and reflect, that you're open to unlearning what was never yours and relearning what love really looks like, that means healing has already begun in you, in your children, in your family line. You are the turning point. You are the pattern breaker. You are the safe place they will grow from, and the strong shoulders they'll one day stand on. So go gently, stay curious, and remember, your healing is not selfish, it's sacred. Thank you for being here today, and we'll see you in the next episode.